Hey, we are back. The broadcast is live. We are, of course, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and we're happy to be back. We are delayed tonight because we wanted to watch the city's update and the presidential update on the coronavirus response. So we were watching it, checking it out, and then, so we could kind of make sure we had some up-to-date information. We knew what was happening. Apparently every day, obviously every day, but every day the city is updating about 6:15, 6:13. They come out with a coronavirus update, and there was a couple of really big breaking news items today over the last couple of days, but they do it every day at 6:13. So we've kind of been scattered with the calendar and the schedule, how we do this, partly because we have a new addition in the family with Saulo, and we've been working and hustling, and it's a tough time period, right? When you want to have these conversations, you want to talk about things, and you want to make sure, but you got to be very careful on how you navigate what you say and don't say, right? And whether you're trying to get too much comedy, too much information, there's so much information flowing around, you don't know good from bad, right from wrong, opinion from fact, and you get this whole discussion flying around, and an issue like this, right, a pandemic like this global effort, and of course our city itself under attack from a pandemic virus here, and it's growing in our city. But then you got to also be careful not to step over boundaries and make sure you're putting out as much information as possible. So we've been, over the last couple of weeks, or about a month now, really trying to make sure we're staying in line and putting out decent information and just talking about facts and stuff and not turning totally into, where you're attacking the system. You can watch Washington, D.C., right? And you can see what the Democrats are doing in Washington, D.C. They're taking and weaponizing the pandemic response as a means to win an election in November. I mean, that's not what we need to be doing right now. So, we're trying to navigate through a path here and making sure we're just trying to be respectful. Every elected official's got a lot of credibility on the line with this, and they don't have a lot of control, right? That's frankly, having been elected, I could tell you from our mayor and city council, the county judge, they don't have a lot of control over what's happening right now. So if you watch them, right? We just got done watching Nelson Wolff and Ron Nirenberg talking about the coronavirus response. And the truth is, and whether it's the President of the United States, the Congress, being completely 100% prepared for something that's new to the face of the planet, right? Maybe we knew about coronavirus, but we didn't know about this strain or what's happening here. Controlling all of that and being utterly and regularly prepared is next to impossible. So what happens is your response after that starts to dictate how you do well. And we're seeing that across the country, right? We're seeing California Governor Gavin Newsom doing well in certain areas. We're seeing Mike DeWine out of Ohio, Hogan out of Maryland, Andrew Cuomo out of New York State. So we're seeing people responding differently. And of course, our leaders from Governor Abbott on down, jumping in and doing as best as they can to be fair and judicious with their rules while also not destroying the economy and people's lives, right? It's a tough mix. So you're seeing a lot of positive out there. I always want to start when we have these conversations to remind people, look, let's pray for our leaders. I know people say, oh man, prayers and thoughts and prayers, give us a break. But I believe that, right? As a person of faith, I think you want to make sure that you're praying that they have a level of discernment that they can, when presented with the facts, they can make a decision. Because the truth is, Nirenberg, Wolff, they're not controlling anything in this city. They're not on the front lines of anything. It's our first responders, and frankly now it's our doctors and nurses, right? They're on the ultimate front lines. Our medical professionals are now the ones leading this country in this response. I don't care. I mean, you can say the same about Abbott or Dan Patrick or President Trump or Vice President Pence, whatever you want to say. And the same goes for Ron Nirenberg. They're not leading anything right now, right? Their goal right now is to put the tools and materials in place as best they can and let the real people who are on the front lines save our country right now. And that is doctors, it's nurses, it's police officers, it's firefighters, it's all these men and women that have now converged to handle the front line. I can tell you that we talk about all the time right now about who's essential workers and not. I'll tell you 100 times over, an essential worker right now is not the San Antonio City Council. I'm sorry. I mean, all due respect, I was one of them. And the message to them, you are not essential, right? Like at this point in time, you are not an essential worker. The essential workers are the hardworking right now. You can watch the news stories and see how they're sleeping on the ground. They don't have protective equipment across it. They're doing all they can. They're getting the virus themselves and then returning to work. There are men and women leaving states, going to hot spots and giving of their time and putting their lives on the line to stop these, whether it's in New York, whether it's in Washington State, if it's in Florida, if it's in New Orleans. It's just an amazing country response. So, look, elected officials, sorry, you're not essential people in this, but you want to run around and act like it, you can. But the truth is, the most essential, the people who matter most right now, the frontline workers. So let's always remember that and say our prayers. And I do pray for every elected official, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, no matter what you are. You can have total and complete differences at this point. But these are our elected officials, whether we are happy with it or not. I mean, whether we voted for them or not, or frankly, if you didn't vote at all. They need the gift of discernment and wisdom right now, because their decisions is to create the playing field for the professionals to do the work. And this is one of the things I was always proud of when I was talking public policy, is that, look, elected officials, you can only do so much. You don't create jobs. You're not creating wealth. You're not out there fighting a pandemic. You're not arresting people. You're not doing any of that, elected official. Zero of that. So have some humility and recognize your goal is to just put the platform there so that the professionals can go do the work. It's like a small business owner. An elected official can destroy a business. They can destroy a housing development. They can destroy the market and economy. They can't build anything, but they can sure as hell destroy it. So what we need out of elected officials right now, what we're hopefully seeing, is that level of discernment, and that's what we're praying for, right? We're hoping for wisdom. And God, you got to go for it, man. I don't care how much you hate these people in elected office or you love them or whatever. Let's just pray for the best we can. We can talk about their successes later, but for right now, let's just level that playing field. So just a quick thought, because we were watching the mayor and Judge Wolf, and look, I can sit here and criticize and say positive, negative, and at the end of the day, you know what? They got a job to do, and I hope to make the right choices for my family. That's it. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, good Lord, please let them make the right decisions so that we can, do the best we can for each other as a community. So, as always, we start this sucker off. We want to thank the people who are helping us put this together, and it starts with AAA Garcia Bell Bonds. Louis, we love you out there, brother. Always make a timely joke about the Bexar County Jail and Louis Garcia, but not tonight. We're just going to say, man, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for all you do, of course. It is fantastic, man. You take care of us, and you are, you're one of our supporters, and we're always thinking about you. Tyler Hall out there with Speedy Salt, he always jumps in and gives us a hand, and he helps us with his sponsorship and stuff like that. But more than anything, he's just a good friend, comes in, he'll sit at Bible study with us and talk about the kid is brilliant. So he just talks about love, life, and making sure we're taking care of each other. Thank you. And of course, Chris Cano and Align Mortgage of Texas. We are now streaming from his office off of Summit Parkway out here. Chris and his team are the #1 VA lender in the state of Texas. And we're just happy to be out here partnering with them and doing great work. So Chris Cano and his organization, Align Mortgage of Texas, we're thankful to be using your facilities. And we appreciate you and all you do for putting veterans in home loans. This is Military City, USA. That means a lot to you, Chris. I want to make sure. What's up?
We have the promo for the weekend.
Real quick, yeah. Is it a short one?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Yeah, put up the promo. I want to make sure everybody knows. Look, the world has not stopped or ended. There is still VA support and work out there. Watch this promo.
Did you know that more than 200,000 veterans call San Antonio home, but less than 15% have utilized their VA home loan benefit? We need those that have defended our country to own a piece of it. On April 4th, I will be going live on the truth about the VA home loan benefit at 10 a.m. Get registered today on thevatruth.com.
Yeah, check it out. So we, of course, we're thankful to Align Mortgage of Texas for putting us in their little shop right here, man. They got they got the chalkboard on the back. They're always taking care of us. Check that out, thevatruth.com. Thank you, Chris, for joining in and being supportive of getting information out to the community and what you do for veterans. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. Now, again, like it, share it, tag it, push it out there. It's information. It's one point of view. That's what the broadcast is. And again, we're trying to navigate between being fair and reasonable and respectful of what's happening. One of the biggest things that just broke in the news a little bit ago, if you haven't seen this, is that 59 of 71. So yesterday it broke, actually the day before yesterday started coming out that a nursing home on the southeast side of town tested positive. 12 COVID-19 coronavirus cases in the nursing home. I think 6 were staff workers and 6 were residents of the nursing home. Today, we just found out within the last hour that 59, and the course was announced during the city's daily briefing, 59 of 71 residents in the nursing home, 59 of 71 tested positive for COVID-19. That is devastating. If you know what happened in Washington State, when they started, when coronavirus and COVID-19 hit in Washington state, it leaked out everywhere. I mean, it was devastating to the state of Washington, and a lot of lives were lost. So right up front, I want to make sure that we recognize that, look, in this nursing home, there are nursing homes all over the city of varying levels of expertise and professionalism, varying levels. There are some, and this one by all means, that we're hearing from the paper, from the reporting, and from Judge Wolf today on his podcast, that this was not a well-rated nursing home. They had a lot of issues and a lot of problems, up to $60,000 of fines last year. I read that this morning at this facility. So it wasn't a well-run facility. But this, I don't care where this is devastating. So obviously we're thinking about the families behind this. And you know what? It's tough because we've probably seen all the pictures all over the internet where children are touching windows of their parents or grandparents in nursing homes. And don't forget, there's frontline workers there as well that are taking care of them every day. And that goes home sometimes, right? They're checking fevers, they're doing all they can to make sure employees are protected, but it is what it is. We're seeing now that the transmission of this could be as far now as that it just happens in the air, right? So we're well past, well, it has to be droplets or this or that, or don't wear a mask, wear a mask. We're all over the transmission of this thing. So this 59 of 71 cases should be an eye-opener for a lot of us in the city. It is devastating, and obviously we're thinking about these families, and we pray for them that this is taken care of and these risks are mitigated. The mayor was on the show saying that they're separated into an isolated quarantine, but they're not going to be releasing, obviously, any of these people. They're staying in the facility. But 59 of 71 folks at a Southeast Side nursing home. And the city is taking precautions from what we can see, going out and looking at other nursing homes that are in this position. Especially the substandards or sub-performing nursing homes. Those are hot spots. I mean, those are really difficult places and locations that at some point, if the virus enters in there, it's all on. And then these folks oftentimes have underlying conditions, which is what we're seeing, where we're seeing the largest amount of deaths in the facilities. So that was a big update today. We also learned today that a third San Antonio Police Department officer has tested positive, although the mayor said in his briefing that it has not been confirmed yet, but he did test, he or she, we don't know if it's a male or female, and we don't know what substation, but he or she did test positive, but it needs to be confirmed. So that would make the third San Antonio Police Department officer. So you want to talk about frontline work. I mean, you want to talk about they're out there on the street every day doing the job. And we saw a story a couple weeks back where the San Antonio Police Officers Association came out and said that the city was giving expired 10-year expired hand sanitizer and busted up old personal protection equipment to police officers. Well, this is what we see now is these infections are starting to happen, right? So the virus is spreading in different areas, and we're going to see it like this. And we know as a city, this is going to get worse before it gets better. And we're not anywhere near a peak environment or period for this. So this will grow, and how we respond to this is huge. But again, back to who's really the essential workers, police officers on the front line of that. And there's an interesting thing. And by the way, got some new tech tonight, new tech, Salo and Charlie. So I'll be able to log in here and actually bring up the image. Let's see if this works. Hold on, this is Tech City here. Oh, I mean, this could be too fancy for Greg. Aha, here it is. There it is. Oh, okay, boom. So if you look at this right here, this letter was sent, today from the city of San Antonio from Dr. Junda Wu, who is the medical director for the local health authority. And basically she's the city's advisor on medical health issues. But if you look at this is a letter that was sent out that you've been in contact somehow. So if you get this letter, you better be quarantining yourself and asking questions right now. But this is an example letter that comes out that's mailed, right? So it says this is to notify you that San Antonio Police Department officer who was diagnosed with COVID-19 came into contact with you in some way, shape, or form. High risk, all household contacts for an individual. Medium risk, and of course, lower negligible risk as everyone else. Because of this transmission, everyone going out in the public is a low risk for exposure to COVID-19. This officer, so they're backtracking now, trying to find who came into contact with these three officers, and they have been doing it over a period of time. So depends on your risk level, but this is an example letter that's being sent out. Was posted today by another city council person. So keep an eye out for that right there. So let's go through a few things and updates that are happening out there in the community. And I got my little beeper going off right here. I don't know, where's the, yeah, well, I think it's on here. Yeah. I don't know how to turn off the volume for you. Well, you're all right. You're good. You're good. You're good. Hold on a second. Let me change this volume. Well, maybe not, maybe not. Okay, so quick updates and some tools right here. So don't forget the tools that are out there right now from the city. If you need information, it's best to always deal in fact. If you need information, go to the City of San Antonio's website, sanantonio.gov, open it up, and right there in the front center of the page is information. You can go click it, and you can go find it, right? And grab the facts and data that's actually out there. Don't go around just kind of, and look, obviously you got your news sources and everything else. But go to the city's website. And at that, number one tool I want to continue to tell people is there is a COVID-19 self-screening tool out there that has you go through symptoms. Again, a lot of people are asymptomatic right now. They don't know it, but they're potentially transmitting. But there is a quick, easy platform out there that you can check from your own home. So get out there, utilize that, and that's a good tool that gets you started on a conversation. Do your symptoms match any symptoms of COVID-19? The city also has out there, and I want to bring this piece up. It starts to talk about, here it is right here. Go to this one first. So the number of cases, this is an important one right here. This is updated every day at the City of San Antonio's website. So the number of cases here is showing 229, 61 hospitalized with 9 deaths, and 45 have recovered. So that is going to increase drastically because of the findings today from the nursing home, right? The 59 that were positive in the nursing home. So that will increase. But that information is also at the City of San Antonio website right there. And then the next one, we got to get that beeping noise out there. Yeah. I don't get my pro here. Right? Got it? Oh, no. You good? You good? Is it gone? Oh, there it is. There it is.
Let's go like that. Oh.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Technical difficulty. You got it?
No. I'll fix it in a bit.
All right, it's just like it's going like mad here. So then there's also a city map here, which is, look, initially the city, man, we are blowing up here on the
Man.
Hey, this is what we call good old-fashioned technical issues. There, Charlie.
Dang, Charlie.
All right, before we get into the map, Saulo failed right there, and Charlie got him. Saulo and I both were trying to fix the MacBook from beeping all the time. And Charlie came in and saved the day. Charlie's actually always saving the day. And he's the quietest guy. He's the quietest of us, but he's most powerful. He speaks in few words, but he is successful in what he does. Put that one back up there. All right, here's the map. So initially the city got, a little bad press because they weren't putting out enough information. And in not putting out information, people are wondering, well, what's going on here? Where do these people live that have been diagnosed? And the map right here gives you a hotspot map of what's happening. And you can see this updated every day at sanantonio.gov. This is the surveillance map down there at the bottom. It has it by zip code. And you can also see it by case rates displayed over case ranges. So you can do some searching in here. But this tool doesn't let you see who they are. Doesn't tell you what street they live on. You're going to get any of that information. Now, we can all debate that because I'm telling you, man, when you're in this level of pandemic mode, I still don't think this is enough information from the city of San Antonio, but they are getting better at disseminating information. But this will tell you kind of where you're at. Now, the flip side of that is you see this map, and if you live in a particular side of town, and look, the highest hotspot right now is the 09ers, 78209. You look, it's the darkest red spot right there. That's where the highest concentration of cases are up until today with the nursing home. But so right now, as of yesterday's data, it was 78209. So if you're living in that area, you're down here off of SeaWorld, off of Marbach area into 151 area, you're looking at that map and you've got some concerns, right? So information is always a good thing. It's super positive that we just know facts. But the facts can also lead you to telling yourselves all kinds of other stories. So you got to be careful. I know I look at this and I see it and I see the dot in my area. It's over my house. And I'm thinking, man, who is that? And where did that come from? And where have they been? And where did they shop? And did they eat out? Did they do? I mean, you can take yourself down a rabbit hole really fast with information. But sanantonio.gov, the testing tool is on there. The stats of where they're at. It actually lists whether they were community spread transmission or they were from a travel-related incident. It will be tracked every day. The city's trying to put out more information. Let's be supportive and hope they put out more because we all deserve it as citizens. So that is a tool that happened today. Also today, the city of San Antonio had their daily city council meeting. There's a lot of conversation here, man. I'll get to test this out big time right now. The city of San Antonio is suspending programs right now. So, and this is something I'm going to talk about in a minute. A lot that's happening in our country right now with this pandemic, with the trillions of dollars going into financing to prop up the economy and our citizens. Politicians, right and left, are talking about ways to revamp the government, right? Ways to get effective with the dollars, where you're spending it, oversight where it's going. But they also want to reshape how government works. You've seen a lot of progressive leaders right now. That's the far left. They're further left of liberals. The progressives, you hear a lot of them saying right now, this is our chance. This is our shot to redo the entire way and function of government. That is the exact wrong thinking right now. We shouldn't be thinking of how we completely revamp our government, right? So a lot of people on the progressive far left side of politics are sitting there saying, man, let's do Green New Deal. Some of this was in the stimulus package, by the way. That's Green New Deal. Let's talk about paid sick leave. Let's mandate all these things. Let's release people from prison. Let's make sure that undocumented persons, you name it, man. It's become a wish list of where they can get projects and money spent. It's not the right answer right now. The answer right now is, okay, how are we going to cut spending because of the reduced tax base we now see? And the city of San Antonio met today and is suspending $82 million of spending. $50 million of it is in streets. Okay. And you see SA Tomorrow, which is a citywide planning, $2 million. The One Roof program, which is a roof repair program, also helps with heat islands and energy efficiency. That's been suspended for a short period of time. Park summer programs and downtown events, that makes total sense. VIA receives an additional $10 million every year. I'm going to talk about this in a second. They're going to be cut by $3 million. So the city's now moving slowly into, now trust me, I've been at City Hall. This list is like scratching the surface of wasteful spending. Like, this is not anywhere near where there's $1.2 billion alone in the general fund. And some of it would freak you out what we spend money on down there. So while this is a start, we have to go after some programs. We're going to run out of tax money. So as you do that, your government becomes more focused on back to basics with your dollars. And we're going to expand on that in a second. But this is where the city has been going today. They also talked about expanding out the dollars, right? And here's another update on it right here. So $82 million in city programs suspended due to effects of coronavirus. So as we see this start to infect the tax base, right? And this is what's happened. This is the fine line that we're always talking about. We're shutting down the business. The economic side of things is going off the trail right now. It's off the rails. It's done, right? 6.6 million people filed unemployment claims. The unemployment's going to be 17, 19%. This is the worst time period we've seen since the Great Depression. So with all that money shifting out of the government's hands now, the tax base has dropped. So it becomes a back to basics environment. And that's where we need to watch and see the dollars the government does get, where do they spend them? What are they going to consider back to basics during this very difficult time period? Because you cannot say that, for instance, I'll give you a prime example. The city of San Antonio last budget cycles is planning to start sinking $100 million into the mayor's housing task force program. So housing, so $100 million is scheduled to go into the housing policy task force. So now we have to ask ourselves, do we need to be spending that money at all? The transportation plan, Connect SA, that was going to be a multi-billion-dollar program. So now you have to ask yourself, do we want to invest into Connect SA? Next year, we have a huge bond program that's going to be starting to be planned for. Could be upwards of $750 or $1 billion in bond programs. A lot of that was going to go to transportation. So now we have to ask ourselves, is that a back to basic program? This will revamp, I think, government. Sure, we're going to find ways to do things differently, but it comes back down to the basics of what government should be doing first. So the taxes have dropped. Now, the problem I think that a lot of people have right now, and it is such a fine line, and of course, it's tough decisions across the board, no matter who you are as an elected official. Are we going to destroy the economy, which we are doing, in an effect to change and combat the coronavirus? And the answer so far has been yes. We're willing to drive the economy into the ground in an effort to stop the pandemic. And that's a universally decided upon goal at this point. It's across the country, all 50 states. Some are doing it slightly different. Texas has taken a more measured approach, although the governor came out today and said, you know what, stay-at-home order. This is what he was implying at his press conference last week. So that has all now shifted. So how do you not destroy the economy while saving lives? And the truth is, people right now have made the decision that they're going to go ahead and destroy the economy. Now, people get pissed at that. I mean, let's be honest here, man. You need to work to put money or food on the table. San Antonio is the most economically segregated city of the top 25 cities. It's the most economically segregated city in the nation. So you look at the top 25 cities, San Antonio is the number one economically segregated city in the nation. Numero uno. So we're more susceptible to the downtime, the loss of jobs. So when people see, what's his name? Bill Gates. Bill Gates was on the news the other day on CNN. He was talking with Don Lemon or one of them cats. And he's talking about everybody just needs to stay home. And then we see celebrities singing Imagine on TikTok or whatever that is. Or we see all these rich folks coming out and talking about the need to stay home and avoid work and avoid all these places. So Bill Gates telling people to stay home with his $100 billion nest egg is probably not the right answer. And it's the same thing when we see elected officials locally here telling people to social distance and stay away from people. And then you see the fire chief and the mayor and the city manager, they're all clustered together like they're playing cards, right? So there's all these mixed messages that come out, but at the end of the day, we're sitting there wondering, who do we follow, right? What do we watch at this point? I'm not too interested in what Bill Gates has to say. Brilliant dude, but a billionaire who doesn't have to worry about any of this stuff. I'm sitting here thinking, well, let me see. The money runs out and I can safely pay my bills until June 4th because most Americans don't have a nest egg just chalked up. Car payments are due, rent's due. So they're sitting there thinking, man, how am I going to do this? So while I fear for my family and coronavirus and I fear for them and COVID-19 and living on a ventilator and not being able to say goodbye to my loved ones if they're about to pass away, all that is a huge concern. You see that, and then you think over here, though, my kids got to eat. And the only way they're going to eat is if I'm out there moving my feet. Slow feet don't eat. So if you're not out there working, you're not out there earning, people aren't going to eat. So what you see in a lot of San Antonio is, and we make jokes about it, we see it all over the internet right now, right? And people are complaining about it, is we're stay at home and we're quarantined and we're shelter in place. Why are all these, and people call them all kinds of names. Why are they out there driving all around the city? And how come people are out doing this, and that? And they're on the streets are full. People are trying to earn a living to pay for food. Think about it. If your family, and you're sitting there a family of four and you're living in a part of this town that probably has a lot of economic segregation issues, and you're sitting there wondering, man, the buses aren't running, I can't get to work, my job's gone, I know I can pay my bills to April 8th. After that, I'm on God's good grace at that point, and I don't have any other family here in town. I can't leave and go somewhere else because this is the same way it is in every other city. So how am I going to eat? The food bank may have some food. I mean, it gets out of control. I mean, think about how far that goes down and how quickly it goes downhill for people. So I always think, you know what, you got to work. And I'm not sure a lot of elected officials are showing enough empathy for that, perhaps, because they have to get out there. So the messenger and the message itself is tough, but it does matter. I don't think it's beneficial for billionaires to be sending it. And we haven't really heard that out of, I will correct that. Nelson, Wolf, and Bexar County put out a $5.5 or $6 million program for small business owners. You know, they can get a loan program system. The federal government's starting their stimulus package tomorrow. You can apply for funding of dollars. And we did see some stuff about this, the nation and the rebate, the stimulus checks that are coming out. That's going to start in a couple of weeks. But locally here in San Antonio, people have to work. And it is such a fine balance. And look, challenge yourself. This is something I tell you to do. So if you're sitting there tonight and the kids go to bed, because I don't ever want to talk about this stuff in front of my son. He's 11 years old. I love the guy, right? Obviously, he's the best I got going in the world. All 5 of my children, the best thing in the history of mankind for me. So I'm sitting there thinking, how do I have these conversations and not have them hear it? But I want them to understand the time we're living in, but I don't want them to understand the struggle I'm having to figure out, which is every day in my mind, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to get the gas in the car? How am I going? I mean, it's just every day in a dad's mind, every day in a mom's mind. And think about our single parents out there who are doing both roles. And they're sitting there wondering, how am I going to get this done? We don't see that empathy right now, all due respect, from our leadership locally. It's just not there. And I think to myself, how we can't shut this whole thing down. So tonight, as an exercise for yourself, your spouse, if you're a single parent, call another single parent, sit there and say, okay, what would we do in this instance? And that'll help us understand the decisions that Ron Nirenberg or Nelson Wolff has to make. But put yourself in that position and say, okay, what do I got to do? What would I do in this case? And if it's something different, then, write it down and think about it. And then learn how to have those look, we're all distance learning our children right now. So might as well distance learn them on what it means to run a budget, on real life things, and how you have to pay your bills and how parents have to work and the things you are afraid of. I think we communicate those things with our children, but in a way that doesn't freak them the hell out to where they're going off the deep end with us. Because I can tell you right now, as a parent, a lot of people across the city, you're probably already off the deep end. You're probably already thinking, my God, I've got enough to go to April 15th. And I sure hope that stimulus check gets here, and it may not. So the counties come out with some things. The city needs to come out immediately. See, here's the thing. You got to plan for when we recover just as much as you got to plan to save us. It's not enough just to say, we got to fight this. You stay home. Stay the hell out of the parks. Don't go golfing. Stay home. Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave. While you're an elected official with a steady paycheck. Boy, there's the rub, right? Every one of those essential elected officials are still receiving their paychecks on the 15th or the end of the month or once. It's always coming in. So I don't really take with a grain of salt. You don't maybe not understand the exact thing I'm going through. So you're sitting there and you're wondering, how am I going to move past this and make it happen? So the city, I think, needs to be planning just as much for telling you what not to do, 50%. The other 50%, telling you what we will do when we come out of this, and this is where we're going to spend our money, right? Like, for instance, we need to have a small business task force with $50 million of loans and support that we rebuild small business from the day one we open the doors of this city again. Like, we need to be helping small business owners, right? A task force of small business owners that go out and they go to the community, small businesses right now, because all these small businesses across San Antonio, this is a message to Ron and Nelson. All these businesses across San Antonio that have shuttered the small business, they need a plan when they come out, and chances are, when they open doors again, they don't know what to do. UTSA Small Business Development Center, Lift Fund, the San Antonio Economic Development Foundation, Ron and Nelson put together a task force right now that is going to be prepared to head out and support the 1,000 small businesses that are going to reopen their doors and employ people. They're not going to know what to do, right? And if we're not there for them, and yes, look, I get it, Republicans, you don't want to spend the money, right? You don't want all this welfare for people or corporate welfare, whatever you want to call it, Democrats. You don't want these freebies and giveaways over here. I get the tired old politics that was pre-coronavirus. Now the politics are post-coronavirus. So now it becomes, this is such a huge eye-opener it should be for all of us. Who creates the jobs in this city, right? It's not you, City Hall. It's the small business owners, the companies that are dying, the restaurants, right? The Jason Dadeys of the world who are top-notch heroes in the restaurant industry, all the way down to, the ones that are at Papa's Burgers on Old Highway 90. You can go right down that list, right? I went today to pick up some paletas. I probably shouldn't have said that because my wife will know I got a couple in the freezer for you, babe. They're kale paletas. So those are the eat paletas in Austin. I'm sorry, I had to make an Austin joke. But all that goes in there, right? And that little business itself still selling, still going through the drive-through. They've got to come out better than ever. So we have to make that investment. Then we have to figure out, what are we not going to spend our money on in the future? And I'm sorry, Connect SA, bye-bye. We don't need to be worrying about you or trying to revamp our entire freaking system, right? At this point, I'm sorry, Via, do you really have the money you need right now? And is it going to where it needs to go? Because those buses sure do look like little petri dishes, right? And we're transferring people all over town. But we need to make sure that the people who are trying to get to work can get there. So what does that plan look like now? I was a supporter of Via, still am, but now I got to make sure that the dollars are spent in the right manner and fashion, and that the people who need the transportation support from Via can get it in a safe and cost-effective manner, right? Via bus drivers is another one group of people out there that are giving up their life, their life, period, right? They're risking it to transport people around this town. We have to protect that system as well. So that, sure, we spend some money on that. But all this other grand plan, everything the city has tried to do over the years, from light rail to God knows what with the transportation plan, we got to think about those things. We got to bring it back down to planet Earth. So we got to figure out what those development objectives are. Here's another idea. People need to have a better roof over their head, right? So the small business owners employing people, they need the help. They're the ones creating the jobs. More wages equals a better house, a slightly better car. I can hit my mortgage payments. All that's wrapped around employment and wages. Kicking it once and for all, kicking it off, getting rid of it, this economic segregation scarlet letter this city wears. We do it through employment. We do it through home ownership, sure, and we do it through transportation. But the top of that is people have to work, and we're learning that now in this city. The employer, now some people are running around screaming and pissed off that people are getting laid off. There's no money. There's nothing happening. If you're a small business owner, you have to shut your doors. Trust me, you don't want to. But you're forced, there's nothing left to pay. So think about that, right? I think we're going to shift our mindset when we come out of this. Look, we talked about this the last podcast. It's just as important what we look like when we come out of this as how we act during it, right? That's very important. So city, the message is, City San Antonio leadership, Bexar County leadership, don't just tell us what we can't do. Tell us what we will do. Tell us what we will look like. Show the investment in the plan. Be ready on day one, when that order lifts and people are back out on the street again. All those small business owners, everybody should be geared up and ready to go. We have to turn this engine back on as quickly as possible, because when the pandemic is gone, the paycheck is just starting. Pandemic and paycheck, these two are now married together, right? So when it's gone, there's no paycheck. That's going to get brought back to life, and God knows who's not going to make it through this without money. That I've learned a lesson on as somebody who's been involved in politics. I'm hypersensitive now, and I'm trying to figure out every day too, like, what would I do? What would this be about the people who don't have a pay? I don't know how. Like, there's a date where I will run out of money. I don't know how it's for people that their date was 2 days ago. Like, what the? I don't know, man. I don't know. Look, I've been off on it, but I think the city has a role to be as positive as they can while as realistic and fair to put the power. People want leadership in moments like this, but they want it also to be decisive. Don't waffle and don't threaten and then not play and not back it up. Right? Don't say, hey, you better stop hoarding, and then never do anything about it. Or, hey, stop or I'm going to shut the park down. But dude, are you going to do it or not? Like, I mean, that's what I'm seeing now. More people are like, look, just make the decision and let's go. Don't be just about the negative. Don't kill us with the bad news and information only. What are you going to do to build us up? So have your meetings and briefings, and first 15 minutes, this is where we're at. This is the struggle. Next 15 minutes, here's how we're going to fix it. Here's where we're going to be. This is the plan. This is how we're going to save ourselves, and we're going to bring back this city roaring back to the best it's ever been, because we want to solve now. Now the thing we need to solve in our city, economic segregation. That's it. That's where it is. Now we're all going to learn what it means to be a little poorer than we were the day before. That's a tough thing to say. Now we're all going to see it. There's people in this city that have been living poverty every stinking day that they've been raised in this community. Now all of us are going to face, and some of us at different times over the next couple of months, but we're all going to face poverty or some inability to pay a bill or some inability to get something that we wanted before. Now magnify that times the tens of thousands it faces, and that's what I'm thinking. How do we get people back to work? Because all these people we're talking about, the thing is too, the beauty of it is, They don't want all these handouts and free gifts and free. They don't want that. I'm telling you, man, I've knocked these doors and I've talked to these people. You know what they want? They want the job and they want to go work for it. Man, that's San Antonio. That's the root of who we are and have always been. Hard workers to go after it and make it happen, man. That's who we are. The job is the number one priority. And it's not the Green New Deal. It's not making sure we're solar and wind and energy and all this other stuff. And let's drive around electric cars and pat each other on the back that we're lowering our carbon footprint. Nobody cares. That's Greta Thunberg. We were making jokes about that 6 months ago. And the Green New Deal, the climate action and adaptation, all these processes and programs and projects. And guess now what we're talking about? How can everybody eat in this town in 1 month? Welcome to the rest of the world. And those of us that have been living on the other side, just thinking, we can fight. Now we got to think about, okay, which items now? Which one's worth the fight? And I think that's what's going to make us a better city. It's the job now, the employment opportunity, the business owners, the employees working together. That's going to be a different world coming out of it, man. And I think, look, we got to make it happen. So jazzed up about it because the answer, I think, for us is positive too. We don't see it. I mean, we're not getting a lot of positive as a city. And some of us, people we know and love, are going to end up with COVID-19. They're going to you're going to know somebody. It's going to hurt. And it could be me, it could be you, it could be anybody. And we got to pay attention to that and work hard to make sure we are just as good when we come out of this as we're doing it. So let's go through some updates on some city stuff right there.
People commenting, bro.
What are they saying?
I don't know. Oh, come on. I don't know. It's weird. How about... Oh, sorry.
Well, Dina Serrano said, no, we want the free money. Okay, you know what? There's some updates in here. So let's talk about that because before we get into some stuff, there are some updates, and I've got the next time get these in the right order. So what we're seeing is the social... So we have to be very careful because the stimulus package we're saying, and I got one right here. Here's a good example. The stimulus package, tomorrow you can start applying for small business loans and different types of support mechanisms. They are saying that the small business task force, that all that money's coming. You have to apply. A lot of that starts tomorrow. You can go check that out at SBA.gov. You can find it at the City of San Antonio. You can go find it at LiveFund. There's a lot of places you can go find information if you're a small business owner. You need support for payroll, utilities, rent. It's all out there. It's coming tomorrow. SBA.gov is going to be a great place to look. The stimulus payments, though, we're going to land start somewhere around the 9th through the 17th. If and I think about 65% have filed electronically in the past and given the federal government their banking information from 2018 or 2019. If you didn't, you will get mailed a stimulus check, in which case it might be 20 weeks before you see the money. 20 weeks. And that graphic I just had up about Social Security recipients who don't usually file tax returns will automatically get their payments. That wasn't what it was just a couple of days ago. They were saying that they wanted people to file basic returns so they can get their money. Be very careful and think about the senior citizens in your life, the Social Security recipients. Make sure that their accounts and information are activated and up to date. If the federal government does not have your banking information because you did not file for electronic deposit on your returns, you will get mailed a check. That will come out in tranches. So they're saying about 5 million checks a week will come out of the federal government to the community in a paper check format. That means it's conceivable. It could be 20 weeks before you see a check. And if that's what if you're waiting on banking on that, the 35% of you that didn't file electronic deposit information, man, there's a lot coming, right? So you have to be very careful. Up to 20 weeks, depending upon when it comes out. So that's a huge update. Let's also, another big update today that came out. Let me go back up this way. I'm going to organize them a little bit better next time. We talked that one, we hit that one. Where were we at here, bud? Okay. This is another quick update from today. The White House has formally come out and said masks on. They're starting to recommend these items now. So you may see more and more people wearing masks. Don't forget, N95 ventilators and the masks, the hospital grade ones. They're encouraging people, obviously, to be careful. The regular surgical masks, to be careful so that people still that the first responders, our doctors and nurses, have access to those items. And there are companies wrapping up right now to produce hundreds of millions of masks, gowns. Toyota, Southside Toyota is creating face shields, right? So companies are retooling to create some of this personal protective equipment. But you can take a cloth, you could turn it into it. Look, I got to give a shout out to my mother-in-law. She made me one right here. This is the Align. This is actually the logo to Align Mortgage right there. Wow. But look, yeah, she did. Look at it.
Wow.
I'm telling you.
That's what you were wearing in the picture.
That's what I was wearing in a picture, yeah. So she made it at home, right? They're saying that there's some level of protection with this. You watch different news stories. You see these things created. You don't necessarily know what the level. I don't know. I see stories that say wear them. I see other stories that say they're not really helpful. The government's coming out saying now some protective shield over you because we don't know if it's being transmitted via airborne and more than just coughing or droplets. Now they're saying could be just breathing in close area contact. So you got to be careful with that, right? So masks are coming back up. There was a lot of communication early on from the White House and other agencies that masks didn't matter. Don't worry about it. Save the equipment for the doctors and nurses. That is starting to change today. So now we're moving into this conversation that if you go out there in the world, have this on and protect yourself, right? And it's going to be difficult. And if you don't have one, reach out to us, man. We'll figure out a way to get you some personal protective equipment. I know my mother-in-law is out there making these things right and left for the whole family. And guess what? They're sheltered in place at home. Mary and Sal and my mom and dad, Dave and Patsy, they're sheltered at home doing the best they can. It's scary. We drive by and drop off food, and that's about all we see the family right now. But we're doing it so we can see the family in the future. So check this stuff out. This is a big change in regards to masks and personal protective equipment for you, the citizen. If you leave the house, start to consider this now, and it's starting to become formally recommended, and we're going to see that changing immediately. Man, I think we're about there. I think that's... Oh, well, then one more update. What are we doing on time here? We got a few more minutes. So coronavirus cases did surpass 1 million today. A total of 51,485 people have died in 180 countries. You saw the San Antonio stats. I'm worried about my second love, my home away from home, Louisiana. In just one day, Louisiana reported 2,700 new cases and 37 deaths from coronavirus. So you're going to begin to see this shift as the virus begins to move. And Louisiana's a hot spot right now. Florida's had problems. Washington State. California's done surprisingly well. Gavin Newsom jumped in early with a few different things. But all of them kind of working well together. Yeah, New York and Cuomo, probably a little bombastic with the president. You got two New Yorkers right there going at it. So that, I would expect that relationship right there. But this has now moved to Louisiana, and over the last week or two, we've seen Louisiana really spike. New Orleans is carrying. At one point, Louisiana and New Orleans area had the highest growth rate in the world of coronavirus cases. In the world. Governor John Bel Edwards announced that a couple of weeks ago, about 10 days ago. So what happens is these folks, and the governor came out of Texas and said, you know what, if you're coming from New York City or coming from New Orleans, you come to Texas, you self-quarantine automatically. Right? So they're starting to limit the travel, at least when it comes into the state. But what we're seeing is, as people from Louisiana and New Orleans also moving into Houston, they're trying to get away from problems, and it could be spreading in that manner. So the governor clamped down on people coming in, asking them, actually mandating through executive action, that they quarantine for 14 days. Another note down there that really pisses me off is Dr. Fauci down there forced to beef up his security team as the death threats increase. Really? If you watch this thing, you see really people's kind of true colors pop out from the federal government level, at least, where the people standing up there, Dr. Birx, Dr. Fauci, today was Jared Kushner at the presidential briefing. We're starting to learn more about that. But Dr. Fauci, he heads the Allergy and Infectious Disease, the national arm of it. He's done an amazing job. I don't know how everybody feels about him, but when I hear him speak, I feel pretty good. Like the dude knows his business, right? So he has to have a increased security because people are giving him death threats. Like, what in the world is going on with that? Like, why in the... I get it. It's a political, American political system right of way there to say, hey man, rite of passage, let's destroy the people who are trying to help us, or elected officials or public spokespeople. Let's find something really bad about them and tear them down. Dr. Fauci is doing a hell of a job. I tell you what, that was really upsetting as well. He shouldn't have to have protection because people are upset about his responses. Man's getting out information. He's one of the leaders of the responses. He's doing a hell of a job in Washington, D.C., and he's brought a lot of calm to things. And by the way, he's a doctor. He's got the facts and information. We're always screaming about people removing their opinions from it. We just want the facts. Dr. Fauci's a fact. Same thing with Sanjay Gupta. I like watching Dr. Gupta on CNN. Don't care too much for the rest of CNN. But I do care about Dr. Gupta when he sits there and says, hey, man, this is what I think about it. This is his life. He was a neurosurgeon himself. He understands the doctor world. He gets it, right? Elected officials, not so essential right now. Doctors, experts in the field, infectious disease experts, those are the people we want to be listening to. Don't attack those people and tear them down. Unbelievable to me that we're threatening the life of the people we want making good information, giving the right data. And the president, to his credit, and there's something here too as well. Gavin Newsom, I'll put this one up real quick. Gavin Newsom himself said, look, this was published 22 hours ago. Tell CNN Trump has been responsive to the state's needs. I'd be lying to say otherwise. I mean, look, we don't agree with California by any means, man. We have been fighting against San Francisco for as long as I can remember. Even he has to admit, look, we got to get along at this point. We can find ways to figure out who broke down and who didn't do what in the future. But for right now, hey, man, he's doing a good job. So let's remind ourselves of that, and let's continue to get after at least a little bit of respect. Listen to the experts, and this is Dr. Fauci right here in case you haven't seen him. This is Dr. Fauci right here. Says he feels safe despite the threats, is focusing on his job. I've chosen this life, and I know what it is. There are things about it that are just sometimes disturbing, but you just focus on the job. He has been one of the calming forces in our nation during this struggle, and somebody we're going to listen to. Unfortunately, some idiots feel the need to want to think he needs to be killed. I don't know what the world's wrong with that. And then this kind of stupidity, too. Schiff already calling for a 9/11 style commission on a coronavirus response. Really? I mean, the ink isn't even dry on your wannabe impeachment articles, and you're already calling for a 9/11 style commission just in time for the presidential elections in November, which, by the way, the Democrats today bumped their convention from July to August. But yeah, just in time, here come the calls for, hey man, I'll tell you what, let's make sure we turn around and let's never let a good epidemic or pandemic or countrywide crisis, let's never let it go to waste. Let's do things like winning elections with it, right? This is ridiculous, but this is Adam Schiff, right? All day long. This is typical response here. This is the kind of politics that can wait. I'm not saying that we don't need to have a response to it. We don't need to understand why it broke down. Here's the truth, though. The government is this big blob, man. Politics and government, right? It's this giant blob, and it moves so slow. And the decision-making process is tedious. And everybody's got to fight over it. And the government is anything but ready, fire, aim. The government is anything but that. Now, like I said there, ready, fire, aim. That's not the government. The government is ready, study, argue, aim a little more, study, then fire. Oops, made a mistake, go back. That's the government. And maybe in an environment like this, we need a little more ready, fire, aim, right? We need a little more experts out there pushing, trying to find avenues and cures and all and such. But the government is a big blob, especially the federal government. They move so slow that we want the states and local municipalities making the calls and the answers. The federal government is going to learn from this. I can guarantee you, though, they're not going to have the quickest response to the next issue that comes down the line. And by the way, the next pandemic could be in October. We'll get through this one in a couple of weeks. Everything says we're going to hit a peak. We're going to move past it. But there could be a flashback, and it could come back up again in October, in November, back in February or March of next year, and we're right back to square one. So the ventilators, the personal protective equipment, the national storage facilities that are housing these in case of national emergencies. How do states respond? How do you allocate? All these lessons learned, we're going to have time to take care of that many days over in the future. And we can assign blame all day long for electoral needs. But at this point right now, that can't be the case, right? Come on. We don't need hearings to find out where the breakdown is right now. What we need to do is fix the breakdown. Get the hell out of yourself, Adam Schiff, and get back. Let's figure out how we figure out, right? We don't even need to just figure it out. We need to figure out how we're figuring out. I mean, we're so far behind a curve, but the progress from where we were a month ago is huge. We got to recognize that. We got to get after it, and we got to grow and get a little bit better about it. We should take a self-examination when it's all said and done. That's 100% necessary. Any leader is going to point the finger back at themselves when the time comes and say, what could we have done better? And then, by God, we got to make those decisions part of our laws going forward in the future. So let's hope that that happens. A couple more shout outs here before we do a few things. Of course, we talked about Governor Abbott. Moving a little slow. Is it popping up? Governor Abbott, he did require Texans to stay at home unless you're performing an essential service or activity. There was some confusion on his previous response. You saw the municipalities, Dallas, Austin, Houston, they came out with their stay-at-home orders. But the governor went and clarified. He said, man, this is where I was. You need to stay home. We are always thankful, of course, for HEB. HEB's gone global right now with their response, their fantastic response to everything that's happened. They were planning for this. You know what the federal government needs to do? They need to go spend some time with the HEB leadership. That's what they need. Hey, how did you know in advance? There's stories coming out, Texas Monthly and other stories, that HEB saw what was happening in China and went and visited and started researching how China was responding in their supply chains and how they figured it out. So, I mean, HEB, selling food from local restaurants to help them out. Huge. I know. Chick-fil-A, always my favorite right there. I got to give Chick-fil-A, they're straight legit. Look at that, man. Got them in I don't know if you can see that. Got them in plastic in the drive-through lane. Chick-fil-A's killing it. It don't matter what pandemic's going on. There's a pandemic for a need for chicken, for Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwiches. So, killing it. These are just some of the businesses. Hey, check out this too. What's happened right here. This is from the NRA. I don't know how you feel about this, people, but 2.5 million guns sold in March. So
what sold more, guns or toilet paper?
Toilet paper. But guns, man, that's the highest recorded sales volume. I came across this one earlier. People buying guns. Lots of things to be said about that, and how you feel about it. So, and how many Democrats buying? A lot of people buying guns because people start worrying about what's going to happen, and you see things about people releasing the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, SAPD, whoever, right? You see people talking about the release of criminals, Houston, Los Angeles, all the cities saying, hey, we're going to release nonviolent, low-level criminal offenders. People start to freak out, man. But look, this is another issue right here. People exercising their Second Amendment rights, be getting prepared out there. So different things happen in our community, and that's most of the updates. I want to close out, and who forgot, just in case, I want to show this one too. This was happening just about, 3 months ago. Remember this? Remember we were all bent out of shape about Nancy Pelosi handing out her impeachment pens. Look at y'all. You got Jerry down there in the corner. You got Maxine over there. Look at Adam Schiff in the background. People were all upset about that. Man, that was like yesterday's news, right? We shouldn't be worrying about this stuff at all. We should be worrying about getting better and doing the job. And that's a distant memory. I mean, impeachment seems like what we would all give to go back to the impeachment days when that was the biggest problem we had, was when the biggest problem we had in the media was Nancy Pelosi's pens. Absolutely crazy. We'd love to get back there. So that's where we're at. I want to show a funny video. Don't want to do a ton of crazy coronavirus memes. Look, we get it. There's a lot of funny stuff out there. People, I got to tell you, man, people are funny. They're super funny, and they can create stuff that is absolutely insane. Some of it gets a little borderline, not going to lie, all right? And then some of it's over the top, especially in a day like today when we see the struggles we're having in San Antonio, and the struggle is going to get greater. But I got to show a couple of funny things just because, hey, man, we got to end on a positive note, and we got to get out there and support, do the best we can. So where is my little video right here? All right. Okay, can I just click the video? Yeah. You're going to love this one, people, but it's probably been making its way all around the internet anyways.
Is it on?
It's on. Okay.
All right, we're on.
Garage door assisted corona.
This is Quarantine Seniors.
Chugging challenge.
All right.
All right, hang on.
Assume the
This is
position.
what happens when you leave grandma and grandpa. They don't see the family.
Wait, get ready.
Shit. Oh, shit. Okay,
Oh
wait.
my God. Grandchildren proud.
I don't think we missed a drop.
Look at these two.
Jake and Barb,
I'm pretty sure we got it all.
you're up.
That's beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah, hey man, look, it's not all doom and gloom. Grandma and grandpa out there having fun. I'm sure that their children who got challenged, their adult children who got challenged to the garage beer, the beer game. That's absolutely awesome. So it's a good one to close on. And I got some others here. You know what? We'll pass on the memes for tonight. We got kind of serious, but I want to just show that video because, hey, man, people are doing all they can to get by. We walk our neighborhood, walk our dogs every day. Still out on the trails a little bit, trying to be as safe as we can, social distance. People around you cough, you freak out.
Susan, how much for your mother-in-law to make some?
You send me a message. If you want something like this, I'll get it for you. You don't have to worry about it. You let me know. You can actually get any bandana, and my mother-in-law can make this. Actually, any kind of cloth.
Did you see the guy?
She did Star Wars on the other side of it, by the way, because I was a little concerned about the polka dots. I'm like, not a polka dot guy.
The guy with the underwear?
What? Oh, yeah. She knocked it out of the park, man.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, she killed it.
Yeah,
She killed it. These are great. She can make them with anything. You want one, shoot me a message. We'll take care of you. We'll figure out how to get you one. Your neighbors, walking through the neighborhood, walking the dogs. And you're right, man. Look, I go out to the parks, and people want the parks closed. Everything I'm seeing, people want parks to go down. I mean, the majority do. Because I go to the park, and I see 50 people on the playground. That doesn't make a lot of sense. There's people upset that out on the golf course, people are golfing. Is that an essential business? And so now we're starting to target each other. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Should you be? And someone coughs around you, you freak out. And it happens today, right? And I still have to get some things done for work, so I come up here periodically. But I'm staying away. I'm working in a corner. I'm hand sanitizing all day. And now we should be wearing these. This is coming soon. Be prepared, people. And it's going to seem like it's ludicrous, but when you go to the park and you see 50 people and 25 kids on the playground, on the slides and stuff like that, we should be genuinely concerned. And I get it. The mayor and the judge are doing all they can. But like I said, man, for all their ideas, they're not the ones on the front lines making this happen. Because the truth is, when these things start to break down, the government's the first thing to go. That's the first thing disregarded is elected officials. Because everybody's kind of sick and tired of them to begin with. We don't necessarily care for everything they say. Half of us hate them. The other half of us love them. It's a divided and fractured country. This is bringing us, I think, a little bit closer into the real world of who we are as a community and city. But then you see things like that. People genuinely get pissed off, right? They don't want people. I mean, come on, kids playing on playgrounds. So the real essential people in this fight, due respect to elected officials, due respect to the mayor and the judge, it's not them, man. Like I said at the beginning. So what is your value proposition? Like, what's your piece in it? And what are you going to do? And that part of that is how you're teaching your kids at home, what's happening, and all these other things. Anna and I, my wife, Annalisa, and I talked about it today. I said, hey, man, this is going to get a little more challenging. I talked to my brother. I said, hey, bro, you probably need to think about staying home. My parents, getting a little firm with them too, right? Hey, stay home. Or my in-laws, stay home. Let's get to a position where the frontline workers, police officers, firefighters, doctors, nurses, welcome to the front. Those are the infantry now, right? That's the infantry. Great stories about D-Day. If you want to talk about D-Day, just to kind of give you an idea where I'm going with this. So D-Day, obviously the greatest military invasion of mankind. That was it, man. They are storming the beaches. And at the end of the day, General Eisenhower, General Omar Bradley, Montgomery, right? Field Marshal Montgomery. All these men and fantastic leaders sat there and had a plan. And in that plan, they said, my plan's fantastic, but when the bullets start flying, the plan goes the hell out the window. And it's all down to the young man with the rifle. This is 1944. The young man with the rifle on the beach trying to get through the beachhead. That was it. That was it. That was the most essential person in that war. At that day, that was it. It wasn't General Bradley. It wasn't General Patton. It wasn't Ike Eisenhower. It wasn't Roosevelt. It was the man on the beach, the 19-year-old soldier going for it, risking life and limb, putting it on there. And you think to yourself, Greg, how can you compare coronavirus to World War II? I'm not comparing the death and the destruction in the battle. What I'm comparing is the willpower, like internal. When you think about the doctor that's masking it up, man, woman, newbie, veteran, seniors, you name it, whatever you are in the doctor's nurses scale, a rookie or what, and then you're going for it and you're putting the mask on. Sometimes you're not putting the mask on. You're going and you're working hard and you're risking your life and limb. That willpower to give for your community is the same. You as a citizen are essential in this. Please think about it. The parks and all these gifts we've been given as a state to not go fully on lockdown, you're abusing them, and it's going to become that we're all going to be forced to do it. And I guarantee you people are still going to be out there. There could be a $2,000 fine for you from the city of San Antonio if you get caught out when you shouldn't. That's in the law. That's in the ordinance. But it's not being enforced. But you are essential in this conversation. So think about your role in it. And ask your kids, too. Talk to them about it. And let's see where you end up and what it means to you. And then gauge that against where your elected officials are. Pray for them. Pray for them to have the wisdom and discernment to do right. And pray for the city. A lot of people will mock that too, right? Oh, prayer. Fine, then don't pray about it. If it's not your prayer's not your thing, don't. But just be supportive. You know what? Tell a friend, help a friend. I walk through the neighborhood. My wife's always asking questions. If you need this, give us a holler. We'll get you one. We're trying to feed the homeless this Saturday. We're collecting food for that. We're doing all we can. It doesn't always have to be advertised or rolled out there. But what does have to be advertised is these are the facts, these are the rules. You make a decision what's best for your family, you get after it. Be a positive about what we can do when we come out of this, just as much as we're talking about what we can't do. And, we'll survive it together. This country always does, man. I'm sorry. I love this country. It's the best place on the planet to live. I would never want to be anywhere else. I love this, who we are and what we're trying to do together, but we need more together. So more information is coming out. We thank you for everything. And I think I hit all my key points, Salo. I don't know if I make sure. Yeah, who we got? Before we wrap it up, let's see make sure we got everybody hustling here. All right, what do we got? Oh my goodness. We do have a lot of comments. Michael, it's good to see you. Ophelia, they need to enforce it's not why we have if not why have the ordinance. We talked about that earlier. That is exactly right. So you can, as a leader, you can't come out and threaten it and not do it. At some point you're going to have to do it. That's decisive. That's leadership. People will follow you, they will listen to you if you're decisive and true in your actions. If you waffle, it's over. I mean, because it means you have no backbone. If you're going, you can say it and you're not going to follow through on it. Most people I see in the comments want the park shut down because it's been abused. And people are out there hanging out, partying like it's Easter, which we're not going to see Easter for the first time. Connie, it's good to see you. Ray, we did it before. We can do it again. You got that right. There's my mother-in-law, Mary Sandoval. Look at that. She got the little mask on there. Daniel Veith's watching. Roger Lopez. Hey, man, you can fish, too. I mean, that's getting out there. So things you can do. Fishing. I would, take my son out and do that. Walking the dogs, getting out of the house. Walking the trail was an available option.
Bicycle trails?
Yeah, bicycle trails. We want there. Ann Pettis wants a plant. Roger Lopez. No, we want to fish 6 feet. Okay, hey, Roger, I'm down with you on that. Betty Eckert. I hope you're doing well. Betty Eckert is huge on senior issues throughout the city of San Antonio. I know she must be scared and worried for that Southeast Side senior home and all other seniors. She's been a member of the senior commission here in the city of San Antonio, and we pray for those in our nursing homes. Thank you, Betty, for everything you do. Mike Mahalski, Sons of Liberty Gun Works, brother, that graphic about the 2.5 million guns sold, but you know what? That's a testament to the Second Amendment right. Derwin Dunson, we love you, brother. John, Derwin, you're out there. Derwin, congrats on the new dog. Oh, man. I don't think I had that picture. Did I have a picture? My wife and son, I keep them home most of the time as best I can, right? Because we want to shelter in place. Somehow or another, they got themselves a new dog. How do you find a stray during shelter in place? I mean, how do you do this? I don't think I can even add the photo right now. Oh my gosh. I got a new boxer. I'll show it to him next week. He's now part of the family. So now we got 3 dogs. This is getting out of control. SBA.gov. Thank you for that, Sylvia. Man, we got some good ones. Jonathan Dummer was out there. Oh, yeah, Prayer Solutions. Yeah, a lot of good folks out there. Darren White, who is Shift. Darren, brother, I love you. Dylan Collier was watching as well. Christine Martinez wants some masks. All right. Well, Joel Sparta. So, Marlene Alanis. Man, we got a lot of people out there interacting tonight. So, look, I hope the information was useful. It's good to see you. Message me. Let me know what you're thinking. We should wrap up now. My wife's probably telling me at home like this. My wife's like this.
Get up!
Get him on. Give him the hook. Give him the hook. Pray. It matters. If you don't pray, have some thoughts about your neighbors and friends. Reach out. Ask questions. Help. Keep your distance. I'll be praying for our elected officials and leaders. I want to thank Salo and Charlie and everybody who continues to support us. Thank you for logging on. Share the information. If you got questions, let us know. We're trying to be about information, about ideas. Let's push it out there. And finally, let's remember just how great we are as a city. 300 years in the making is the San Antonio story. It's going to go on. We're going to be out of this. But we need to be thinking about who we are and what kind of people we are when we come out of this. I want you to think about the homeless people living under bridges right now that have no opportunity or hope or nothing. Think about the families that have been living in that economic segregation I talked about, that poverty. We're all going to get a taste of poverty as the longer this goes on. And if we can come out making policy that's better as a result of that in the future, I'm all for it. Let's see how we can get better at it. Back to basics. Do the things that matter most. I do want to wrap up with recognizing Sean Rima. I know Sean I didn't see him on the show tonight. He watches from time to time. And I don't think I had the graphic for Sean. Sean lost his brother. He's a good friend of the show. He's a good friend of mine. Sean Rima from KTSA. We're praying for your brother. We're praying for your family, brother. We're thinking about you. And we're just really here for you. So, Sean, I've seen the posts online. Didn't get a chance to say hello and reach out to you, but this is my reach out saying I love you, brother. We're praying for you and praying for your brother, praying for your family. I hope you and the family are good. We will see you soon. So, that's to Sean Rima. We love you, man. Okay, the broadcast is wrapping up. We are out. My wife is giving me the hook. Sal's giving me the hook. Charlie's giving me the hook. We will see you next week. We are making it up as we go along, but we absolutely love you. We will see you soon. Hang tight. Keep your social distance. Wash those hands. Watch us. We'll see you soon. The broadcast is out.